Can you remember the precise sound of the 1980s hip-hop revolution? For millions of Americans, the rhythm was pure, raw, and unapologetically New York. It was the thump of a bass line that seemed to arrive late at night, calling you outside, demanding you listen to a new kind of truth. In those early days, hip-hop was not a business plan, it was a movement, born in the housing projects, but destined to conquer continents. We are talking about Whodini, a trio that shattered the glass ceilings of the music world, becoming the first rap group to hit platinum and the first to embark on a global tour. But at the heart of their success, a figure stood apart, instantly recognizable even in shadow, John Fletcher, known to the world as Ecstasy. With his distinctive voice and the legendary leather Zorro hat, he was more than a rapper. He was a silent icon of style, the smooth voice that made the hardest tracks feel like a late-night confession. Ecstasy's story is one of unprecedented success, cultural trailblazing, and a shocking, quiet ending in 2020. Before we look at the music, we must understand the man who wore the mask, and the heavy price of being hip-hop's original pioneer. The man the world would eventually know as Ecstasy was born John Fletcher on June 7, 1964, in Brooklyn, New York. He was one of 6 children, raised in the White Cough projects, where life taught fast lessons and demanded resilience. The household was steeped in music, but perhaps not the music one might expect from a future hip-hop icon. John's parents played the classics of an earlier era, Duke Ellington and Frank Sinatra, artists whose music spoke of sophistication, rhythm, and enduring cool. This blend of classic rhythm at home and the raw energy of the streets outside would later define the smooth, unique sound of Whodini. By the time John entered high school, something new was vibrating in the air, the nascent sound of hip-hop. He wasn't just a casual observer, he was immediately drawn into the movement, influenced by pioneers like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, Curtis Blow, and the Sugar Hill Gang. This was the era when hip-hop was barely a recorded phenomenon, shared primarily through mixtapes and neighborhood battles. Inspired by the giants of this new genre, John and his twin brother, Dynasty, formed their own group, rapping fiercely and gaining a reputation throughout their local neighborhoods. It was through this emerging rap scene that John Fletcher met Jaleel Hutchins, who was rapping in a different group at the time. Their rivalry was initially set for a rap battle, a crucible for testing skills and reputation. But fate had a different plan, orchestrated by an opportunity in the radio booth. Jaleel was interning for the influential DJ Mr. Magic and needed help recording a jingle, a short intro commercial, for the radio show. Jaleel was frustrated. His current crew wasn't serious enough about the commitment. A friend suggested he call on Ecstasy and Dynasty, recognizing their talent and discipline in the projects. The collaboration proved electric. The 3 artists, John Fletcher, his brother, and Jaleel, recorded the jingle promo, and Mr. Magic loved the sound. That short musical piece was so catchy and compelling that Mr. Magic played it on the radio for 2 years straight. This unexpected, continuous airplay became a beacon, drawing attention from record labels, including the dominant Sugar Hill Records. However, a deal with Sugar Hill fell apart when Mr. Magic tried to add a member that Ecstasy and Jaleel were not comfortable with. They held their ground, prioritizing chemistry over the fast track. The real breakthrough came when Mr. Magic moved to WBLS radio, and the international music scene took notice. Jive Records, a London-based label, was eager to sign hip-hop artists, a genre they correctly saw exploding globally. The legendary mogul Barry Weiss, then an intern, helped introduce Jive CEO Clive Carter, a South African businessman, to the black clubs of New York, blowing the CEO's mind with the sound of hip-hop. Though Mr. Magic couldn't sign the deal himself due to his radio contract, he did the next best thing. He gave the deal to Jaleel, who then brought in Ecstasy. They recorded the song Magic's Wand, and Jive Records was officially hooked. Barry Weiss, recognizing the link to their DJ mentor, coined the name Whodini, a nod to the magic. Clive Carter later changed the spelling to Whodini. In 1982, Magic's Wand was released, not just as a single, but as a piece of history. It was one of the first hip-hop songs for which a music video was shot. This bold move put them far ahead of their contemporaries, launching them onto the charts and setting the stage for their global conquest. When Jive Records asked them to tour overseas, they quickly recruited a new DJ, Grandmaster D, replacing their previous member who had left for the military. The trio was complete. Whodini was ready to rise. With their lineup fully set, Whodini flew to England to record their debut album. They immersed themselves in the British sound, working with techno producers who utilized computerized beats, embracing the electronica sound that was massive overseas. Their self-titled album, Whodini, was released in October 1983. They had already made history with Magic's Wand, but the journey didn't stop there. Whodini became the first hip-hop group to tour overseas. The people in Europe, far from the rough streets of Brooklyn, treated them like royalty, cementing their status as pioneers who literally took the culture global. But even more pivotal than their international success was the emergence of a signature look that defined a generation. It was an unmistakable symbol of cool, the Zorro hat. Ecstasy and his twin brother saw a simple wool gaucho hat in a Brooklyn window, but Ecstasy took that concept to a hat maker and had it custom-made in leather. That leather Zorro hat was his mask, his emblem, and his immediate connection to the audience. It set him apart, and for many, Whodini is credited with bringing distinctive fashion and style to the often rough-and-tumble world of early hip-hop. In 1984, working with legendary producer Larry Smith, they released their second album, Escape. This album was not just a success, it was a cultural explosion. It sold over 1 million copies and became the first hip-hop album ever to be certified platinum. It was a monumental achievement, proving that this genre, born in the projects, held massive commercial power. Beyond the sales figures, Escape achieved another first. It was the first hip-hop album to break into the top 40 of the Billboard Top Pop Albums chart. The singles from this album carved their way into history. 5 Minutes of Funk became instantly recognizable, especially as the theme song for Video Music Box. Then came Friends, the eternal question posed as a hip-hop anthem. Friends, how many of us have them? That track's lasting influence is undeniable, sampled years later by giants like Nas for If I Rule the World and Tupac Shakur for Troublesome 96. But the track that defined their live show and their status as cultural icons was The Freaks Come Out at Night. When Whodini performed it, the crowds went wild, especially the women. They were lined up backstage just to meet the group. This undeniable magnetism earned Ecstasy and the group a unique title in the mid-80s. They were often called hip-hop's first sex symbols. Ecstasy himself noted in an interview that rap needed true, honest-to-God sex symbols, and he believed, "That's us," a powerful declaration of their appeal. The video for The Freaks Come Out at Night was groundbreaking itself, one of the first to feature live footage from 3 different shows, capturing the raw energy of their performances. That song's cultural weight was further cemented when it was featured in the 1985 Hollywood film The Jewel of the Nile, starring Michael Douglas. Furthermore, Whodini pioneered the visual presentation of hip-hop. They were the first rap group to feature dancers, giving a stage to future stars like Kango Kid, Dr. Ice, who later formed UTFO, and a young, 12-year-old Jermaine Dupri. This era of platinum sales, global tours, and trend-setting style proved that Ecstasy, with his unforgettable voice and his iconic Zorro hat, was not just riding a wave, he was steering the ship. The relentless pace of success brought its own challenges. After the massive cultural impact of Escape, Whodini returned in 1986 with their 3rd album, Back in Black. It was another commercial hit, hitting number 4 on the R&B/hip-hop albums chart and achieving platinum certification. The single, One Love, resonated deeply, speaking to the universal human search for a singular, lasting connection, becoming a signature track. It was on the single, Funky Beat, that we heard Grandmaster D rap a full verse for the first time. Yet, the landscape of hip-hop was changing rapidly, making the climb harder with each new release. Their 4th album, Open Sesame, released in 1987, was certified gold, a considerable achievement for most, but a slight cooling from the platinum peaks of their earlier work. It was around this time that the business side of the music industry, the weight of fame and the promise of fortune, began to crack the foundation. Whodini made the painful decision to leave Jive Records after Open Sesame, feeling they were being cheated out of money and royalties from the label. This separation was an effort to regain control, but it coincided with a massive shift in popular music. They signed with MCA Records and released their 5th album, A Bag of Tricks, in 1991. It landed with barely a whisper. The new Jack Swing era had arrived, and a younger generation of artists was dominating the airwaves. Ecstasy, Jaleel, and Grandmaster D realized they were in a new game. The failure of the album forced a difficult reckoning with life outside the spotlight. After years of defining culture, John "Ecstasy" Fletcher had to pivot, confronting the question of how to survive when the rapping stopped. He took on a practical, demanding role far removed from the stage. He became an EMT, emergency medical technician, and a firefighter. This quiet, selfless act of service spoke volumes about the man beneath the Zorro hat, prioritizing stability and community over clinging to fading fame. A brief return to the studio came in 1994, with the track, It All Comes Down to the Money, for DJ Terminator X's album. Then, their protege, a now successful Jermaine Dupri, came back into the picture to help his mentors. Whodini signed with Dupri's So Def Records, releasing their 6th and final album, 6, in 1996. Despite collaborating with artists like R. Kelly, the album failed to recapture the magic of the 80s, and the group slowly faded from the active music scene. The end of their career was further marred by an internal fracture. In the years following their disappearance from the charts, group members Grandmaster D and Jaleel became embroiled in a dispute over the legal trademark of the Whodini name. Grandmaster D stated he wanted ownership to be shared equally, but Jaleel felt the name should belong only to him, threatening to leave the group if his demands weren't met. This sad, quiet conflict over legacy and property right demonstrated the difficulty many pioneers face in securing their rightful place in history after the applause dies down. They had successfully navigated the racism and exploitations of the early music business, only to face legal battles and the ultimate challenge of irrelevance in a rapidly changing world. The influence of Whodini on American and global culture far outweighs the later silence on the charts. Their true legacy lies in their role as intrepid pioneers and cultural architects. They were among the first to prove the commercial viability of hip-hop to the skeptical music industry, particularly with Escape becoming the genre's first certified platinum album. This achievement wasn't just a win for Jive Records, it was a victory for the culture, opening doors for countless black artists who followed. On the world stage, Whodini served as hip-hop's earliest ambassadors. By touring overseas and recording their debut album in England, they built the transatlantic bridge that hip-hop now effortlessly crosses. They introduced the infectious beats of New York sound to an international audience that received them rapturously, recognizing their artistry long before the mainstream American media did. Back home, their impact was visceral and deeply felt in the culture of celebrity and style. The image of Ecstasy's signature Zorro hat, a piece of customized leather flair, fundamentally changed the visual language of rap. It established that hip-hop artists could be as stylish and distinct as any rock or pop icon. Furthermore, the group's reputation as hip-hop's first sex symbol with hits like "The Freaks Come Out at Night" added a layer of undeniable charisma and crossover appeal that challenged earlier perceptions of the genre. This appeal broadened rap's audience, bringing in fans who appreciated the music's energy and the performer's swagger. The groundwork laid by Whodini extended even to the next generation of industry giants, evidenced by the tutelage of a young Jermaine Dupri who started his career as one of their dancers. Although their later career was marked by internal disputes and market changes, the industry eventually acknowledged their immense contributions. Ecstasy, Jaleel, and Grandmaster D were honored at the VH1 Hip Hop Honors in 2007, the Long Island Music Hall of Fame in 2012, and the Black Music Honor Ceremony in 2018. Each award was a poignant, public recognition of the group's foundational role in building the musical empire we know today. The story of John, Ecstasy, Fletcher and Whodini is a powerful testament to the American pioneering spirit, a narrative that begins with basement beats and culminates in a global musical movement. They didn't just participate in hip-hop, they architected it, giving the culture its first platinum success, its first international tour, and one of its most indelible visual symbols, the Zorro hat. Ecstasy, with his unforgettable voice and quiet leadership, earned the respect of his peers and the adoration of millions, proving that artistry and style could emerge from the deepest roots of Brooklyn. His journey, however, carried the quiet struggle of the underrecognized pioneer. After the platinum records and the world tours, John Fletcher was humble enough to return to the streets as an EMT and firefighter, serving his community when the music business failed him. It is this blend of rockstar swagger and quiet dignity that makes his life story so compelling. Then came the shocking final chapter. On December 23, 2020, just 2 days before Christmas, Ecstasy passed away suddenly. In a year already defined by loss, the news hit the hip-hop world with devastating force. Though his family initially noted he seemed healthy, it was later revealed that John Fletcher, a man who had survived the chaotic birth of a musical revolution, had died unexpectedly from a heart attack at the age of 56. His death came as the group was planning a new album, One World, a final act that now remains unfinished. The quiet exit of Ecstasy serves as a stark reminder. Whodini never truly received the credit they deserved for laying the foundation of hip-hop. Their struggle for royalties and the internal battles over their name underscore the harsh realities faced by black artists who paved the way. If the story of John Fletcher, the man who went from hip-hop's original sex symbol to a working EMT, reminds you of a pioneer in your own life who built something lasting yet remains unsung, we encourage you to reflect. We read every comment. Share a memory of the first time you heard "The Freaks Come Out at Night" or saw that legendary Zorro hat. Let us know who else deserves this kind of recognition. May the rhythm of Ecstasy's voice echo forever. Rest in peace, true legend.